All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about a concept that, honestly, challenges our most basic assumption. The idea that the world we see is the only one that actually exists. We're going to get into something called the assemblage point, which is supposedly the mechanism that literally builds the reality you experience every single second.
So, let's kick things off with this really powerful quote from the source material. Think about that for a second. The solid, predictable world all around us, it's not some absolute truth. For the seers and sorcerers in these books, reality is way more fluid. It's just a description.
So, what does that even mean, a description? Well, think of it like this. Our reality is a kind of story, a system for interpreting everything that we've been taught since the day we were born. It's not the actual place itself, but a very, very specific map we've all been handed.
And this description, man, it is hammered into us from day one. Our parents, our teachers, our whole society, they are constantly reinforcing one specific way of seeing things. And this process is so total, so complete, that eventually we just forget it's only one version of reality. We start to believe it's the only reality.
Okay, so now that we've kind of set the stage, that reality is an agreed-upon story, let's look at how a sorcerer or a seer actually perceives a human being. Because when they look at a person, they don't see what you and I see. They see energy, directly.
And this slide just lays it out, side by side. On the left, you've got the view we all know, a solid physical body, right? But when a seer looks, they see what's on the right, this vibrant, luminous egg, a whole cocoon made of countless circulating fibers of energy. This, they say, is what we really are, energetically speaking.
So, if we are this luminous egg, then where in this huge field of energy does our perception of the world actually happen? And this, right here, brings us to the core of this whole thing, the specific mechanism that builds our reality from the ground up.
This is it, the assemblage point. It's described as a spot of intense brightness on our energy field. You can think of the entire universe as being filled with infinite threads of energy. The assemblage point acts like a focal point, selecting just a tiny fraction of those threads and bundling them together to create the coherent world that we all perceive.
And the details here are surprisingly specific. The point has a pretty precise location. It only assembles the energy that passes directly through it, nothing else. And here's the kicker. It's held rigidly in place by our internal dialogue. You know, that constant narrator in our heads that never shuts up? That's the anchor. So the logic is simple. Fix the point in one spot and you fix reality in one way.
Well, this leads us to a pretty big question, doesn't it? If the position of this assemblage point determines our reality, and it's held in place by our own thoughts, can it be moved? And if you could move it, what in the world would happen?
When that point moves, it starts to line up with and bundle entirely new sets of energy filaments. And the result? It's not a dream or a hallucination. The result is you start to perceive a different world, one that is just as real, just as concrete, and just as valid as our everyday reality. It's like you've just changed the channel to a different, but equally real broadcast.
So, how is such a profound shift even possible? Well, first, you have to stop the internal dialogue, the very glue that's holding the point in place. This gets supported by something the seers call stalking, which is basically practicing flawless, deliberate behavior to save up energy. And finally, it's truly mastered through dreaming, which is where you learn to control the natural shifts of the point that happen when you're asleep.
But, why? Why go through all this crazy effort just to shift your perception? What's the ultimate goal behind all this strange and difficult work? Well, it all comes down to one single powerful idea: freedom.
See, the ultimate goal isn't just about seeing strange new worlds for kicks. It's about breaking the chains of being stuck in a single, rigid perception. It's about achieving total awareness, the ability to perceive the totality of yourself, not just the tiny little sliver that gets assembled in one fixed position. For the warrior, this is the path to total freedom.
So really, what we're left with is this idea that the real mystery isn't the world out there. The real mystery is the mechanism inside us that builds it. It's not about what we perceive, but what makes us perceive in the first place. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating, maybe even unsettling question. If your assemblage point shifted, even just a little, what entirely new, but equally real world would you suddenly see?